Hello, everyone. This is Christopher Mick at the Hudson Area Public Library. I'm so glad you could be with us today for another one of our Women in STEAM series. Pretty excited on this one because we're going to stress the letter A in STEAM. So those of you that remember this, it's the science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So the arts, we're going to talk a little bit more today, and I'm going to waste no time in getting over to our special guest today, Danielle, and I will let her kind of introduce herself and we'll get going here.
All right. Thanks so much for having me. First of all, it's an honor to be here and to talk to women in STEM and kids who are interested. My name is Danielle Roosa. I am the granddaughter of Apollo 14 astronaut Stuart Roosa. And when I was in college, I was lucky enough to intern at NASA headquarters in DC, where I worked in their news and multimedia room. And while I was interning there, I noticed that there was a fundamental lack of interest in what NASA was doing. And now that's kind of changed. But back then, it definitely, we were doing the Mars Curiosity rover, and people would be like, "Isn't NASA out of business?" And I was like, "No, it's not a business. It's a government agency."
Yeah.
But what I really wanted to do was combine my passion for the arts. So I'm super happy we're talking about that. So I am an actor and comedian, and I wanted to bridge the gap between space exploration and entertainment. So when I moved out to LA, that's exactly what I did. And I created a company called Back to Space. We're pitching a television show, as well as we do videos monthly, and we connect Apollo astronauts with students. And I think our company is really a passing of the torch of space exploration. So that's what we're doing. And art is awesome. That's what I've hated my life to. So
well, and I'm really intrigued by that because my background originally was I was a film major at Columbia College in Chicago, and I had a video production company, and I was kind of going that route because as a kid, I was obsessed with space and went to space camp and that. But then as I became too tall to realize my dreams of being an astronaut, I was a little bit disenchanted with things, and I'm like, oh, I so wanted to do this, and now I can't. And so I kind of got into, they called it radio, TV, and film was the minor when I was junior college, and then when I went to Columbia, it was all film all the time, doing that. And now I've kind of come back, full circle where I'm a STEM educator, and I have my own nonprofit, Space St. Croix, that does all these free programs for the schools and the library and in the district. And so it's interesting, what your kind of background in that too, because I think I pull on my experience from how to kind of cut a video together, or how to wait for the dramatic pause, or how this is going to be kind of cut together to captivate kids. Because I think we've all seen a video where you're like, yeah, there's a lot of information in there, but it's putting me to sleep, versus the one that something, either a dramatic film like The Martian or something like that, where it just grabs everybody and they're so excited and they're talking about it. So I think that's really the power. And if you know how to kind of craft some things in a way that are going to appeal to the audience you're going for.
absolutely. And I think, it's kind of just a disservice to students who are studying, and they get a textbook and it's like, you need to learn this because of this. But why not learn it in a way that activates all of your senses, And I think that luckily now, because of people like you, there's a lot of people who are grasping the excitement of space exploration. And I think the space industry is a very intimidating field, where you feel like you have to have 15 degrees. And then we're over here like, hey, we can talk about it too. So I think, that's the exciting thing about space exploration is, and where it's going is that, we are going to go to Mars. We are going to need people who are chefs and cooks and janitors, and, space exploration I see in the future becoming so much more inclusive to all different types of people. And I personally think one of the most exciting things about being human is to perform and to be able to carry an experience. And even though someone's not there, you can recreate that through the art of storytelling. So I eat, like, my personal favorite, this is controversial because not everyone in the space community likes this movie, but I liked Interstellar. Did you like it?
I did. Yeah, a lot. And I know people complained about the ending and some things like that. We don't have to get into all that. But yeah, I thought just the concepts, I mean, that whole, yeah. And Gerald O'Neill, stuff with High Frontier, and you kind of saw the station they were living on at the end there. And so,
cool.
I thought it had some good inside stuff for the people that follow that and know that. And then it just dealt with some some really neat concepts that, again, like you're saying, kind of a complicated textbooky thing, but it did a good job of kind of explaining the science on how this would work if you could do it.
When we were actually out, I think we were in Texas, maybe? I don't know. We were out with Charlie Duke from Apollo 16, Al Ward in Apollo 15, and Cunningham, Apollo 7. And they were doing this this assembly, and they were talking to everybody. And you saw the kids in the back who, were kind of not into it at all.
Yeah.
And I was watching those kids because I'm like, I really want to see when they start paying attention. So they're on their phones and whatever, intentionally trying to make the teachers mad, which they succeeded at. But then Charlie Duke started talking about re-entering the atmosphere and the heat shield and how you could see it. And then everyone stopped what they were doing. And he had that entire audience captivated by what he was saying.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a perfect visual of what we're trying to do, which is, okay, now let's get them excited and get them interested. Now let's go and talk about the science of what is the heat shield and why did that happen and how did that happen, which is, I think the best way to get people excited is to see real life examples, which is, also what Sally Ride said, if you can see one, you can be one. If you can see a woman doing what, you've always wanted to do, that why can't you be one as well,
Right. No, exactly. Well, and I love, you made me think of when I show the third graders, we were doing a lot of virtual Mars presentations, getting ready for the Perseverance landing. And I showed them a video that was made for Curiosity, but that 7 minutes of terror video that NASA produced. And the kids love it. And they love saying the title. They think I'm showing them like a horror thing, but they all talk about it. They buzz about it, 6 months later. And they're like, when are you showing the 7 minutes of terror again? And I told my parents about that. They were trying to find it on YouTube and that, but that's, to your point, they got excited because it talks about how all these things have to work or you have a crashed, rover on the ground, the heat shield and the parachutes and the pyrotechnics and everything has to go like clockwork in this automated fashion. That's why they call it the 7 minutes of terror from when you hit the top of the atmosphere until you're safely on the ground. But I thought, so what we're talking about, that does a great job in, I think it's a 3 or 4 minute video of just all the kids are sitting forward. Then when that video ends and then I'm talking about what I'm talking about, I've got everybody's attention and it's just great to see.
I mean, I think also that's kind of as I've gotten older, I always liked history, like the class in school. But I think that for me, I try to reframe it as these are characters in a play and here's the plot. And that made me way more engaged because I was like, okay, well, in this year, this person did this. And that's kind of boring if you're a kid and you're like, okay, who cares? But then if you think about, no, let's like Lin-Manuel Miranda, when he did Hamilton. I mean, how many people started researching about, Hamilton? They were like, who's the guy on the back of my dollar bill here?
Yeah.
He's on the 10. 20? What is he on?
10? I have to look
I'm
this
gonna
up
go
now.
10.
We don't carry cash anymore.
No.
It's all cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. I know you probably can't say a lot. Can you talk about the shows that you're pitching? You mentioned that, like what they might kind of be, or I don't want you to have to say, too much where you kind of have to keep it.
So we're pitching a show about, I actually don't, some news came out today about potentially another program doing the same thing. So I'm like, but basically we were trying to put it's a competition based show in which everyday people can compete to go to space. We have, his name is Hema Washington. He is the director of the Television Academy, as well as Chris Cowan, and he did the Decade series on CNN. He also was a producer on Apollo 13. And so with my NASA access and their amazing contacts and experience, all of us together make a good team capable of doing this. So
that's excellent.
Yeah, it's been really fun. And, for me personally, I just love everything about the arts. I love creating, I love pitching, I love doing and producing. So it's been a really fun experience for me. And, if we're talking to children, this is something that I wish I would, well, I am happy that I did, which was everyone told me I was crazy. They're like, that will never work. And I kept going and kept going. And I showed up in one of the biggest Hollywood agencies with a PowerPoint presentation, like a 1998 PowerPoint version of, and I was like, here's my idea. And they were like, okay, but you need to get some who are you? And I'm like, I don't know, but here's my pitch deck. And I got a great team, and, a powerful story and a powerful idea can go very far.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah. You made me think of on that. I was a contributor to St. Jude when they were doing
Oh,
their fundraiser for the
yes,
inspiration
yes,
mission. So
that's great.
because I'm friends with Dr. Cyan Proctor, she was one of the ones selected
Oh,
to
wow.
be on that 4-member crew, and St. Jude was collecting donations, and you donated at certain levels, you could get a shirt or a patch like this and that. And so I thought it was a great cause to support them, and then to get a little
Great.
souvenir of the upcoming mission there. So, but that's kind of what you're talking about, like an all civilian crew. And
Yeah.
I know they selected some members from St. Jude and others that were kind of entering their competition and
Mhm.
doing that. So, well, and that opens up this whole other thing. Maybe we touch on a little bit, space tourism, kind of coming online, it looks like, with Blue Origin doing that
Mhm.
in Virgin Galactic. And
Yeah, it's
that seemed
exciting.
pretty far-fetched.
And I was just remarking to my roommate the other day how crazy it is that about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, people were asking me if not, no, no, it was much longer. A long time ago, I guess, not 5 years ago, but people are, with the Curiosity rover, they were like, what's NASA doing? And now you walk into Target and there's NASA shirts and SpaceX
Right.
shirts. And you're like, I think that is a really good indication of where the time is, the cultural shift of accepting and embracing space exploration, which is really exciting, honestly, because then I think Elon Musk did a fabulous job of doing what he's doing, and he's making it super cool and super sleek. And I think that it's gotten a lot of heads turned to what he's doing, and it's very fun to watch an awakening, because growing up as an Apollo family,
Hmm.
I was around astronauts my whole life, and I mean, it was not cool. I mean, it's cool, right? But it's
Right.
normal. You just
Yeah.
don't think of it. And so I was always around that. And then I would talk to people and they'd be like, what? That's so crazy. What are you talking about? And I'd be like, wait, no, you don't know who was on Apollo 15 or 16 or 17? Like, and so now there are people who know way more than me about what's going on in space exploration now. So, and go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I do that at the front of my slide deck. I'll pick a random astronaut. I'll say a very cool astronaut you know nothing about, to kind of
Hmm.
illustrate your point on, they all know Neil Armstrong, obviously, and that, but venture a little bit off of that. They don't know any astronauts, and
Mm-mm.
male or female or shuttle crews and that, because the kids, if you're depending on the age, you're elementary, middle school, they just don't have a lot of recall on that. So I'll usually just pick an astronaut to say the coolest astronaut you've never heard of,
Oh,
to
that's
kind of
great.
hopefully motivate them to Google a little bit on their own, or do some research about some other people. Maybe the astronaut will have a connection to Wisconsin or Minnesota, where we are, to kind of tie an interest angle in. I'll try to find something like that. But
That's awesome.
I try to
That's really,
put that in there, again, just to be like, whatever can encourage them to scratch a little bit below the surface, and
yeah.
be a little bit more
You know,
interesting.
I've told this joke like 15 times today. I mean, I tell this joke all the time. But it's basically, when I was first starting back to space, and I just wanted to get a gauge of the overall understanding of the Apollo program.
Mhm.
So I have a coffee shop that I go to all the time, and I just asked a random person. I was like, can you name a couple of astronauts? And they were like, yeah, Buzz, and then there's Lance Armstrong. I was like, okay, well, you got 50% right. You're halfway there, but
You're
no.
doing like Jay Leno on the street, grabbing people. Yeah,
Yeah, jaywalking. Yes,
yeah,
it was both hilarious and very sad.
yeah.
But you know, I think that's changing because everyone knew Bob and Doug when they went up, and
Well, right,
you know,
and to your point with starting back to space, I think my nonprofit's been around like 6-7 years now, and that was the case. It was kind of like what you were talking about earlier, where just nobody knew, is NASA still even doing anything? Are they still around? And so I was really pushing a lot of information out there. Now, to your point, you're talking about, it's really getting a lot more saturation in like the public consciousness with
exactly.
the shirts and the branding you're talking about, and then all the kind of viral videos with SpaceX and that. So the kids come to me, they are like, did you hear about this, Mr. Mick? And did you know about, because they're seeing stuff in their social media or what they're watching. And so it's a much different thing than just as short as 5, 6, 7 years ago, where it seemed much more of a kind of desert out there as far as anybody being interested about it on social media, or you didn't really have SciComm people like you do now that are kind of promoting it, 24/7 with their
Right.
videos and their travel and what they're doing.
And you even have one of the Barbies.
I do. You mentioned Sally, right? I've got Sally over there behind the ISS, and then I've got Katherine Johnson
Love that.
over on the other end. And then you mentioned, I don't have it flipped around because I try to protect it from the sunlight, but my Lego Saturn V, Charlie Duke signed that for me. I got to interview him a couple
Oh,
years back, and he was kind enough to offer to sign that for me. So
that's great. My
that's,
sister has that. She loves Legos. She loves Legos. So she actually, how long did that take you to make or to build?
it was kind of off and on, it wasn't a just sit down and finish it. So I have fun dragging it out. So I probably spent, 2 weeks making it, but you know,
Yeah.
got the brand new space shuttle upstairs. That one's not done yet. Still working on that one.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I'm a big Harry Potter fan. I'm not a big Lego person, but my sister for her birthday, I got her the big Harry Potter Lego
oh
thing.
yeah, the castle and
Yeah.
well, the
Completely
kids
off.
no, the kids love it because when I bring these out again, I'm hoping to get back to in-person presentations. Next fall. It's been all video this year, but they would love when I would bring out, the Lego space station or the Saturn V, because then again, it's a great access point. They can relate to it and they have it, so they kind of are naturally interested. Where if it was just a physical wooden model of something, they'd be,
They
so
can touch it, they'll build it. There's ownership over it. And I think
right,
that's all that's, if a kid has ownership over their learning, I think they're more likely to engage instead of just being told this is what you're doing. At
right.
least I don't have kids, but that's how I was. I'd be like, no, I don't want to learn that. Oh, no, I do because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, now I'm engaged.
Well, and that
Uh,
was the basis for starting my nonprofit because I was seeing what my daughter was bringing home for when STEM was becoming a buzzword, but it was kind of just these dry photocopied sheets and it didn't really seem engaging. And I'm like, I bet I could put together from my space camp days and the stuff I had just a little bit of kind of like, what my dad does kind of deal. And I brought it in and everybody went nuts. And then the teachers were like, when are you going to come back and do that next year? I'm like, oh, I didn't know I was doing this again. I thought it was like a one-off thing. And then that kind of led to it getting
yeah.
set up as a nonprofit and doing it for the district and that. Well, and I want to talk to you. You've got you mentioned Apollo 14. You've got an anniversary event coming up.
Yes. So we have the 50th anniversary of Apollo 14. Obviously, it's past. It's a couple
Yeah.
of months late, but the whole COVID situation made it very difficult and is still making it difficult. But yes, so on June 19th, we're having a Apollo 14 50th banquet under the Saturn V at Kennedy Space Center. And I'm very excited about it. And the Apollo 14 crew, unfortunately, was the first crew to all pass away.
Mhm.
So all the families will be there, and it's gonna be a great time. And for me, I think for my dad, for him to be there when his dad launched into space and now be there 50 years later celebrating that with his daughter, I think is a really, and not just his daughter, his entire family along with the other families,
Yeah.
is such a cool it's cool. It's remarkable what they did. The whole NASA, it's just remarkable. And the more time we can reflect on that and really understand where we came from to understand where we're going, I think is crucial to understanding space exploration.
Well, it really is, and that's been one of my goals as well. As you mentioned, we're losing a lot of the Apollo astronauts and just that generation that worked in mission control and worked on the rockets. And so I've always been trying to reach out and do interviews and that to kind of document that, to hand that over to the kids I work with, where it's still kind of first person stories. It's not like reading about Christopher Columbus and it's something just in print and there's no connection to them. Like these are the people that went there and these are the people that built it, or these are the people that worked in mission control, and they're talking to me and I'm giving it directly to you, because I think that linkage is important. It's what you're talking about, that to hear it directly from them is pretty powerful. And
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
and we are
Yeah,
kind of losing that generation.
yeah. And I was very close with Al Warden. I loved Al Warden. And that his passing, I think, was really hard on everybody. And then the Mike Collins,
Yeah.
the couple weeks ago. So it's definitely happening. And I'm thankful that our company has spent a lot of time connecting them with, the younger generation. But it's very sad. And just a different project we're working on. It's called the Lunar Landscape Experience, which is the largest map, Guinness World Record map, and it's going to have all these AI. You can walk on the moon. We're making
Okay.
a terrible job pitching this. But then using AR and VR based on what we've already recorded from the astronauts, so you'll be able to stand on the exact spot on the moon in which they landed and
wow.
have a conversation with some of these astronauts. So it's very exciting.
Oh, that'll be amazing.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure your kids, I mean, it's in Texas, it's in Jacksboro, Texas, and
Okay.
it's not. But once it's out there, it's gonna be amazing for kids because it's doing exactly what we're talking about, which is activating all the different senses. When you walk in, it's gonna feel like you just landed on the moon, and then the doors open, and then you're on the moon, and you can do other simulators and just a bunch of other stuff. So
Oh, that'll be great.
yeah, yeah.
Well, was there anything else you wanted to talk about? I'm kind of wrapping up here on my questions. I didn't know if we didn't cover anything that you wanted to mention.
No, that's everything. But if anyone ever wants to reach out for me, they can email me at Danielle@backtospace. If there's any students that are interested in what I did or have any questions about what I'm doing, I'm always here to talk.
Awesome. Yes, I'll put in the description on the video. I'll put Danielle's social media information if you want to follow along with her mission on Back to Space and other projects that she's working on. Follow along with her story. We'll put that in the link. And I just wanted to thank you again so much for making the time today for this to work out. And I think it's just an amazing career that you've had with kind of, again, the acting and the writing background kind of informing the outreach and the information work you're doing, with your great family connection on that, and trying to bring those astronaut stories and information to new generations of people. So it's really wonderful to see, and it's been great to follow you on social media and see
Oh, thank you.
all these new iterations.
It's great what you're doing. What you're doing is phenomenal. And there are times I wish I could, I could have had this kind of experience, not exactly in space because I already had that, but just talking with kids about what they want to do and helping them and giving them access. I mean, it's a really beautiful thing.
Oh, no, I appreciate it. Well, like you said, they kids can't do it unless they can see it, and I think you're really showing that to them, and it's great to see. And just wish you all the luck going forward with all your efforts, and
Yeah.
maybe a new show and things like that. So we'll have to keep
Yeah.
looking out.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, Danielle.
Yeah.